What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down multiple build iterations for the Act 5 Frenzy Mercenary. This video is essentially a follow-up to last week's video where I did the same thing, but it was with the Act 1 Rogue Mercenary. You guys seem to really enjoy sort of the thinking out of the box and sort of crafting very cool support mercenaries, so I'm going to do the exact same thing today, except everything is going to be focused on the Act 5 Mercenary. I'm going to cover everything from the budget end of the spectrum to Uber Tristram support. That's right, these mercenaries can actually survive Ubers, and then we'll do poison, crowd control support, and kind of everything in between. So budget end of the spectrum to the extreme will all be covered in today's video. So hopefully you guys do enjoy it. Again, a quick reminder, if you actually enjoy my YouTube content, I do stream twice a week on Twitch, where I often stream the progression of these characters and sort of the development, so any follows on that platform would be very much appreciated. Got the link for my channel in the description below. That being said, guys, let's jump in. So first I want to quickly cover some of the changes that they made to the Act 5 Mercenary. Now, in my opinion, the Frenzy variant is the most desirable, but across the board, the Bash Mercenary as well as the Frenzy Merc, they got increased damage values, life, and defense. And in addition to the Bash Mercenary skills, they added Battle Cry, so this reduces monsters' damage and their defense, so it makes it easier to hit. And then for the Frenzy Mercenary variants, they added Taunt. Now, again, in my personal opinion, the Frenzy variant is definitely by far the best because being able to dual wield opens up a lot of additional options. So using some pretty powerful crazy room words like the new introduced Plague that has been reworked, or Last Wish. The combination of like the Cleansing Aura, lower res proc on striking for poison support builds, or the Might Aura and Life Tap for Uber support builds, or pure melee damage setups, it far outweighs, in my opinion, using like a really big, hard-hitting, dual-handed weapon like Death and Eth Colossus Blade or something on a Bash Mercenary. It just feels like it's a lot better, and that's why this video is kind of entirely centered around those Frenzy variants. But that is kind of the baseline of what has been changed, so now we'll dive into some of the cool options that you guys can experiment in patch 2.4. So the first mercenary variant that I'm going to cover is a budget option, which is, in my opinion, the new strongest budget mercenary in patch 2.4. I really do think it surpasses Treachery, Talis Mask, and Insight. And if you can get away without the mana support, so Blizzard Sorceress, potting occasionally in Ancient Tunnels, or maybe a Fist Evans Paladin with Sanctuary, or excuse me, with Redemption, it's a very powerful mercenary that will almost never die. Again, no CTA buff. This is a level 80 mercenary, very budget gear, but it all centers around the full Sazabi set with Lawbringer on the offhand. So Lawbringer gives the Sanctuary Aura for crowd control against the undead, which again works great in like the Ancient Tunnels, Chaos Sanctuary. When you look at the full Sazabi set, this mercenary gets 1 skills, 40 faster roam walk, which pairs with the Frenzy Burst of Speed, 15 life stolen per hit, more life leech than Towels, 27% maximum life, 30 all res, which is constant, so the res will always be capped. You're not relying on a fade proc from Treachery, 16% damage reduction, and 25% poison length reduced. Again, the body armor, the sword is extra damage, full damage, damage to demons, increased attack speed, Lawbringer with the Sanctuary, but this is a very, very powerful mercenary, so I'm going to do a quick Chaos Sanctuary run, or at least part of one, with a level 80 Paladin, Mercenary is level 80, and no CTA support. And you will see the crowd control and the survivability that this super budget mercenary has. And again, if you can kind of get away... I'm using a Telestaff on the offhand, not using Enigma, for those that are curious. Kind of let the mercenary just stick in front while I'm using Fist of Heavens and Holy Bolt. Look at how fast he's running around. Really crazy. I'm frozen. I'll try and see if he can face tank a couple monsters here. Get him to face tank. Reposition him with the staff. We'll just let him hold his own here. Now, he's not a DPS source. This is a budget mercenary. Don't expect him to flatline and run over everything. But he has no issues surviving here. He has amp damage, letting him do his own thing. I'm not even helping him. So if he were a Blizzard Sorceress, casting a couple statics in Blizzard, this would really kind of help your mercenary, right? But he's totally holding his own. We'll drop a couple Fists of Heavens, kind of clear out. Look at how fast he runs around, too. Fast roam walk, and when Frenzy's engaged. So that's the first mercenary. I have made a solo video covering everything about him, so I'm not going to spend too much time. But he is a very budget variant with... You could use different alternative weapons, like something hard-hitting here if you don't want Sanctuary. But I think for full Sazabi set, which you can trade for next to nothing on Battle.net, This is a very powerful mercenary, like 2,000 life, level 80, surviving Chaos Sanctuary, no CTA buff. Great, solid budget option. So the next mercenary that I want to showcase is a poison support mercenary. So the idea here is we're trying to proc skill low resistance when struck off of the rumored plague as frequently as possible to support either rabies or poison jabs on. Going to showcase with the poison jabs on, but it will work equally as well for rabies druid. So quickly going over the gear here, dual plague for that 20% chance to cast level 12 low resist when struck. The whole idea here is to telestomp, have the mercenary be hit as many times as possible, proc that lower res, which will boost the poison damage. So I paired his helmet and body armor for this setup here as shaft stop, V-gaze. So the idea here is we want to keep the defense as low as possible because these mercenaries have iron skin, so the higher the defense, the less likely monster is to land a hit. So it's kind of counterproductive to throw like a fortitude and other really high defense gear because we actually want him to get hit as frequently as possible. So that's why I have shaft stop and V-gaze for 50 DR and life stolen per hit, but they're not upped or ethereal, so we're trying to keep the defense as low as possible to have that low resistance proc as frequently as we can get it to. We'll do a quick cow run. Buff the mercenary up with CTA. Try and lure a bunch of cows together. Let him take a bunch of hits. See, he's already procced low resistance twice, 3 times. Let me chuck some javelins. That's going to significantly increase the clear speed for a poison damage dealing character. So we'll try and lure some more cows together. Do the same thing. You could actually use this with the jabs on if you wanted to. If you don't want to use an Infinity Mercenary, no reason why you couldn't use this. And 2 plagues is much cheaper. Again, you kind of have to wait for the proc to go off. So again, one more time. We surrounded. See, it just goes off very frequently. Again, very cool setup, which would, in theory, work really good with the jabs on. This is probably one of the coolest setups, and I actually do have dual plague on ladder, so let me know in the comment section below if you guys would like to see me get a poison jabs on going and then have this dual plague merc, try and rely on that lower resistance proc, or I could even go jabs on, but either way, this is a very powerful mercenary option. And another thing to not sleep on either is the cleansing aura as well. This basically enables you to reduce poison length or curses by, like, I think it's 80% with the 2 of these stacked together. So you're almost never cursed either. So again, a very powerful build, thinking out of the box, but super effective as well. So the next mercenary variant that I'm going to showcase is what I've sort of dubbed the stat stick mercenary. It's essentially a combination of using the first mercenary that showcased and the poison support Merc. For whatever reason, I haven't found an Ohm rune yet, so I don't even have a CTA buff for this mercenary, but I do have Fortitude. Very weird luck on my solo self-found challenge on ladder. But this mercenary is essentially just combining Plague with Azarath, so we get the Sanctuary Aura for crowd control in the Chaos Sanctuary, Cleansing Aura support, so we're never cursed or poisoned, and then Fortitude and Arid Face, so life leech and decent damage. Mercenary is 1833 to 2200, and then 1670 to 2267, with Fortitude and Iron Skin, tons of defense, kind of counter to getting the low res proc, but that's not really what this mercenary is about. Because he's sort of the dubbed stat stick mercenary, we're just trying to have cleansing and sanctuary active at all times. That's all that's really kind of going on with this mercenary. So again, similar to the Sazabi mercenary, I'll do a very quick Chaos Sanctuary run. And we're doing this solo self-found Enigma CTA challenge, so I don't have those rumors yet. It's Telestaff, Nages, Chaos Sanctuary. But I'm basically doing most of the killing. Combination of Fist of Heavens and Holy Bolt. Mercenary is just there as a stat stick. I'll try and get cursed. We'll see how quickly this appears. So there, I have lower res on me. Cleansing. Boom, it's gone. So you really don't even have a curse for longer than like 3 seconds with this mercenary. The crowd control, pushing back the undead. Never really taking any damage with the Fist of Heavens Paladin. So it's essentially kind of just a hybrid of the first and second mercenary, but just combining Azarath and Plague for the cleansing of Sanctuary Aura. Very powerful setup, although it's maybe somewhat limited in its use. It probably benefits characters like the Fist of Heavens Paladin the most. Blizzard, Sorceress, and other characters, you might not use it as frequently, but it's definitely a great choice for a Foden. So the next mercenary that I want to showcase is the pure physical DPS Act 5 Frenzy Merc. Now there's definitely some pros and cons to this setup compared to a traditional Act 2 Reaper's Toll Mercenary. So the pros, good damage and great survivability. The cons is you lose out on the consistent decrep proc that you get from the Reaper's Toll Mercenary. Now you could go like Grief and Lawbringer if you wanted to for that consistent decrep proc, but it doesn't really compare to an Act 2 Might or Mercenary with Reaper's Toll, so that's why I genuinely think this is a better setup. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you guys would tweak anything, but essentially I'm a Zealot with Fanaticism, getting a Might Aura support from the Mercenary using Last Wish. And I pair that with Grief for a very hard-hitting Mercenary. So he's using Fortitude, Chammed G-Face, so he has tons of Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, he can't be frozen, and then we're pairing that with Last Wish and Grief. The reason this Mercenary doesn't have Source of Life Tap is because, a Source of Life Leech is because we get Life Tap from Last Wish. This combination, he has actually 100% Crushing Blow with every hit from Last Wish, and Deadly Strike from Grief, G-Face, he's can't be slowed down, he's never frozen, tons of fast roam walk and damage from setup with Frenzy. So he actually does 4,000 to 4,108, that's the Grief hand, and then 1,824 to 2,009 with the Last Wish. Now that's going to actually jump up as well once he gets support from Fanaticism. So we're basically at about 2.5k with each strike from Last Wish, and then a consistent 5k from Grief with the Fanaticism support. So it's a very strong, hard-hitting Mercenary that is going to constantly proc Life Tap, which is kind of cool if you think about it, because there's not really too many Mercenaries that you can use as like consistent sources of Life Tap, although this is a very expensive Mercenary. I will concede that. Obviously, it's Last Wish is not cheap. But you'll kind of see that he just is always with me, and he's running so fast and attacking so fast that he kind of gets in as many hits as what I do, and they're consistent strong hits, and we're always proccing Life Tap. So he just kind of moves with you, absolutely mowing everything down, and he just never dies. Like, I don't know how you could possibly die when he's doing that much damage, then you're proccing Life Tap. You're just kind of doing your thing. And you could rock this with a Frenzy variant or like a Whirlwind Barbarian variant, but I just don't think you get as much support as what you do from the Fanaticism on the Paladin. There's a physical immune, we'll just kind of skip him. We'll clear out the Zir here. I think that when these guys get charged up with their fast roam walk and Frenzy, they're not also as like stupid as getting around as the Act 2 Mercenaries, so repositioning with Enigma isn't as mandatory with a Mercenary like this, just because they're always flying around from monster to monster. So there's that immune to physical, that's the only drawback with this setup. That's basically the pure DPS variant, guys. There is some different options. You could use Eth Headstriker instead of Grief if you wanted to. I just think that this is kind of a cool combination. So the next Mercenary variant that I want to showcase is what I'm dubbing a Fire Support Mercenary. So essentially we're trying to find a different way to support a Fire Sorceress character without using the Rubric Affinity. So Burmal Barist is very expensive, although the gear I am showcasing is probably equally as expensive. But just for the showcase of the video, we're taking a hard-hitting physical damage Mercenary and then pumping him up with a high-level enchant to add additional damage to support a fire damage-dealing character. The Mercenary is using Fortitude, Chammed Ariat Space, Omed Upped Headstriker, and Grief. You can see his damage is 2700 max and 3500 max, but then once we hit him with a high-level enchant, jumps to 6,500 and 7,000 max damage. So that's quite a big damage buff. So we're going to farm some Stony Tombs. But you'll see, I'll kind of cast my Hydras and hang back, while he's just going to jump ahead and mow down monsters. So we kind of hang our Hydras, we hang back while he's going from monster to monster, using Frenzy and his high-level enchant, and just running stuff down. Go to the big final level here. I cast some Hydras. Hydras are doing their work, while he's running around, mowing down from monster to monster. Really cool stuff, hard-hitting damage, and again, it really excels in an area like this, like the Stony Tombs. Not kind of super tough monsters, and there's no fire immunes, so we're just kind of finding a way to supplementing high physical damage Mercenary with a high level enchant. So tons of attack rating, fire damage, hard hitting Mercenary. couple different weapon variants too. You could use like Hand of Justice and maybe Eth Cryptic Swords or something if you want additional fire damage, or if you want more physical, you can go Head Striker and Grief. But that's basically the wrap up with this mercenary. Is just hard hitting physical damage, supplementing with a high level enchant. So the final mercenary variant that I want to showcase is an Uber Tristram support Merc, which it's very cool that you can now rock a mercenary that can survive Uber Tristram and mini Ubers. So I've done multiple mini Uber runs and he survived every single run, including Lilith, which is really cool. Again, you can't face tank Lilith, just have him do everything and do nothing. You do have to support him, but he did multiple times survive Lilith, which is very cool. So you can now rock a expensive mercenary to always, for the most part, stay alive during Uber Tristram runs, so it's very cool. His gear is Fortitude, Ethereal, Belrog Skin, Eth Chammed Ariat's Face, Last Wish, and Azarath. So Azarath is for the Sanctuary Aura to knock back the undead against Mephisto. Last Wish, obviously life tap support, Crushing Blow. Again, expensive, but the Fade proc as well. So we're just going to jump right into Uber Tristram. This should go okay. Did a couple practice runs, but we'll lure out Mephisto. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned with is I don't have a Chains of Honor set up. Just using Enigma, so my res might be a little low against Mephisto. He's just mercenaries base tanking Mephisto, crowd control support, pushing back the undead. And we'll jump to Diablo and Bale. Now you'll constantly see life tap go off all the time, which is really, really cool. I'm using Exile, mercenaries using Last Wish, so they will override each other. Most like hardcore Uber Tristram Smiter setups, they will not even use mercenary, just because they won't survive. But this Merc, like, he's got capped res, Crushing Blow, life tap procs, he's pushing back the undead, attacking very quickly. DR res from the Fade proc, which is actually a superior Fade proc to Treachery. So again, a very expensive mercenary, but we just completely soloed Uber Tristram and he had no issues tanking Mephisto, any of the main Ubers, nothing. So again, a very expensive but really cool survival kind of Uber support mercenary to cap off today's video. Again, guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. A lot of these mercenary builds were kind of small iterations and tweaks of each other. So like the support stick mercenary versus the Plague Merc versus the DPS variant, and then adding an enchant buff proc. But it was just trying to come up with as many different options for Act 5 mercenary as I could. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you guys think I missed anything major. Any feedback is always welcome as long as you're not a dick. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you on my next YouTube video or live stream. Peace out.